we got to get going, right? I want to feel some more guys that I'm used to feeling, but I haven't been feeling this year yet, and we need to feel you.
Welcome to the Hard Knocks Podcast, everybody. Thanks for being here. My name is Andrew Siciliano. Coming up, the Hall of Famer Andre Reed. Wouldn't Hard Knocks have been fun back in that era with Thurman Thomas and Bruce Smith and Jim Kelly? We'll talk to the man with a gold jacket about what the show would have been like in the 90s. Here in 2025, we see Sean McDermott telling his team at the beginning of the episode, coming off the Giants preseason game, that he needs more. How does he get that focus and energy back? How does the week go with the joint practice in Chicago? We see everything through the lens of the Hard Knocks cameras as the Bills travel to Chicago. And I think the big takeaway from all of this is, as fans like to say, it's the preseason. It doesn't matter. Yes, the games don't count, but they do matter. And McDermott needs more from his team mentally. He needs more focus. He needs more intensity. And in no way do you look at the loss to the Bears on Sunday night, 38-0, the worst preseason shutout any NFL team has had the last 2 years, and say, oh, all is lost. This team's going to go 0-17. No, obviously that is not the case. This team looks like a playoff team again. But as you build towards the opener against the Ravens, Sean McDermott needs more. The good news this week, and we see it in episode 3, is that he has more now from James Cook, who dressed out, put on the uniform for that first game against the Giants, but said, no, I'm not going to play. They got a deal done, finally. And we see when and how that deal was made. It got done Tuesday night, and then Brandon Beane was able to share the news on Wednesday.
James is going to be a Bill for, hopefully his entire career.
Yeah, that would be great.
James Cook gets a 4-year contract. It's worth roughly $46 million. He gets $9 million up front. He gets an APY of roughly 11.5. He wanted $15 million. He doesn't get that. However, everybody is happy because he gets his money and the Bills can move on. We actually hear Brandon Beane curse a little bit, like when his assistant comes in, he's like, yeah, bleep, yeah, we got this thing done. This has been hanging over the Bills for a while now. We see the conversation, Beane and Cook in the office. And then I love the photo shoot. All teams do this now, right? They put up a big graphic behind the player, a big monitor, and they're going to put it out on social, on X, on Instagram, on every platform. Then the guy signing his contract, right? All the photographers are there. No one does DocuSign in the NFL. But you actually have to put pen to paper for the photo op. And I love that James Cook isn't even smiling. He's got his glasses on, but his teammates were joking with him. Ty Johnson called him new money legs. Everyone joked that, of course, he's probably going to buy a lot of meals when the team goes on the road to Chicago for that joint practice, the scrimmage, if you will, because fans were actually there for it ahead of their Sunday night primetime affair. One of the examples that we see in episode 3, and this kind of came out of nowhere, a guy who is being put up on a pedestal and shown to the entire team, was a guy that wasn't even there a week ago. His name is Jimmy Charlo. He's wearing 35, and he had a huge tackle on special teams the week before in the Giants game. Who in the heck is Jimmy Charlo? I'm telling you right now, people, Jimmy Charlo is going to be the new darling of the show. You thought it was Joe Andreessen? It is now Jimmy Charlo. Jimmy Charlo, how else do I say this, is just a good-looking dude, right? You could see even how they framed the interview, didn't you? Like, bam, they're right in there on Jimmy Charlo. He's got everything. He's got the looks. He went to West Point, and this is the guy that I guarantee you the show is going to follow the next couple of weeks as we move towards the August 26th cut-down day when they go from 90 down to 53. After only being there for a couple of days, Sean McDermott calls him out in front of the whole team and says, your reps are going to go up. You play like this, you're going to get on the field more. And then you see the kids smiling in the meeting room. I love that. Like, hey, good job, kid. Everyone needs to be more like the guy that just showed up, a guy that blew his knee out last year when he was in Jets camp, a guy that tells the Hard Knocks cameras, a couple of weeks ago, I thought my football career was over. I was sitting at home. Like, he may have to go join the Army. Right now, he's deferred his obligation while he tries to pursue a football career. Another guy that has that intensity is Jamarcus Ingram. He's a corner. He's hung around for the last 3 years, but he's never made the 53. I think Hard Knocks does a great job here, pulling back the curtain to show you the game behind the game, the mental game here, right? Remember the beginning of this episode, you hear Sean McDermott talking about the mental edge. He needs more from his team. He needs more energy. He needs more focus. Jamarcus Ingram is trying to get that on a play-by-play basis. He tries to get that flow state, and he thinks that if he can get into a flow state, that he can actually make this team and clean up his mistakes. We see in the beginning of the episode, we see them working out. The Bills, they're working out. They're lifting weights. The mental side is just as important. Going through every play in your head, trying to figure out what you were seeing, how I was thinking, how do I get to that flow state is just as important as the actual physical football part. We also see in episode 3 for the first time an offensive lineman named Travis Clayton. Want to explain who he is and where he came from, because you hear his accent. Clearly, he didn't grow up in the United States. He grew up in England. Clayton is part of what the NFL calls the International Pathway Program. Every team can have an IPP player. That player, and in this case for the Bills, Travis Clayton, does not count against their final roster. So they could actually carry 91 players instead of 90, and the 91st could be Travis Clayton. That goes during the regular season as well. You can keep him on the roster as your international pathway program. Clayton's a pretty cool story. He was a rugby player, came to the States, went to IMG Academy, and never really played football at any organized college level, but he got drafted. The only other guy to have that happen before him was Jordan Mailata, taken years ago by the Eagles. They took him out of Australia. Jordan Mailata has turned into a Pro Bowl left tackle, as well paid as anyone at his position in the game. I'm not saying Travis Clayton is going to be Jordan Mailata. Every team, as I said, has an IPP player, but keep an eye on that guy because it's a unique path to the NFL, and he could be a pretty cool story. Now let's get to the joint practice in Chicago. Coaches tell you that they love joint practices because they could go with their first team against the other team's first team, and it's in a controlled environment where they, fingers crossed, won't see players get hurt. Sean McDermott was asked, hey, are you going to play Josh Allen Sunday? Turns out he didn't play Josh Allen. He said, well, maybe if I could put bubble wrap around him. He's not in bubble wrap at a joint practice, but there are rules of engagement. There's a mutual level of respect. And for the most part, players do not get hurt. You actually see that cool moment as well, where Josh is talking to Tremaine Edmonds, who came in the same draft class with him. He's a former Bill linebacker, signed a free agent contract with the Bears a few years ago. They both were drafted in 2018. They're joking about a fight, because fights always happen at joint practice. He just says, hey, Tremaine just hit me and then we could go. And he said, no, man, I'm not going to do that, because there is mutual respect. You see that mutual respect when Deion Dawkins is coaching up a guy that he's going up against in practice, and that's the Bears' Austin Booker.
Can't fake spin on me, though. Just commit. Bro, you drastically look different than everybody out here. So you have to play different than everybody out here. Because you're their spark, and you go ahead and get paid. Why not? Right? We all here to make it.
I hear you.
Right, and I'm here. Whatever question but you got, ask, bro. For real. Right. We all employees of the NFL.
You also see Ed Oliver going like, wow, I forgot Joe Tooney's really good. They've battled over the years because Tooney, for the last how many ever years, was in Kansas City. Then we see Simone Biles. Did you catch that? An uncredited appearance by the greatest female Olympian in U.S. history. She is married to Jonathan Owens of the Bears, for those who didn't remember, from last season's Hard Knocks. All right, let's get to the game. The game was Sunday night, national TV. Fox had their crew there, Joe Davis and Greg Olson, yet Kurt Menefee and Julian Edelman down on the sideline. Big field to it. America watching on a Sunday night. And the game went really, really badly for the Bills. They lost 38-0. Caleb Williams came out, marched down the field 92 yards, opening drive here, and the Bills were never even in the game. Now, they didn't play their ones. They didn't play their twos. I get it. It was the worst, or as some Bears fans hit me on social media after the game, the best preseason shutout since 2 years ago when the Broncos beat the Rams 41-0. I was there for that one. That one, there's some similarities. There was a joint practice during the week in which the Rams were clearly the better team. Then the game meant more to the Broncos when they finally kicked it off, and the Broncos kicked their tails. I think there's a little bit of a similarity here, right? The Bills during the week, pretty good at that joint practice. They made some plays. And then with a new head coach in Ben Johnson, this meant more to the Bears on Sunday night. Caleb Williams, the ones, the opening drive, marched down the field, right? Ben Johnson kind of flexing a little bit, and Bears fans are happy. Sean McDermott played nobody. He didn't play his ones. Heck, he didn't play a lot of his twos. But here's the problem. And go back to the opening of Hard Knocks episode 3. McDermott said all week that he needs to see more fire and intensity and focus, and he needs to see it up and down the roster, right? So you see it from Jimmy Charlo, right? He makes another play on special teams. He even says, and you see it in Hard Knocks, that they had some injuries at nickel, meaning third corner, and that he, as he said it, a weak side linebacker, had to be on the field late in the game a little bit more, defense, not special teams. So that's a good thing. But some of the quotes from McDermott during the game, line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, just not looking good. Tonight, not even close. Not good. And then he said on the podium afterwards, we're trying to see who can play up with the varsity. The first string, laughing on the sideline during the game. Josh Allen talking about Pee Wee football and cracking jokes and, right, look at how big that defensive tackle is for the Bears. All of that is good. You know that the one should be okay when the Bills open up against the Ravens week number 1. But you need to find out who the rest of your team is, because every team gets challenged when it comes to depth during the season. This is a brutal sport. Injuries happen. You need a second team. You need a third team. You need practice squad guys. You need more people that play like Jimmy Charlo. Because by the time you get to the Chiefs, assuming you get to the Chiefs come January, it's going to be a war of attrition, a test of endurance. And guys that were on the JV that didn't play well on Sunday night on a national TV audience are going to be called upon in January. Can you rely on those guys? Sean McDermott, in the beginning of this episode, needed intensity and focus and a different level of play from his team. He did not get that intensity Sunday night.
You know, we got to look at it, figure some things out, and evaluate some of the guys as well and see where we stand there. A lot of work to get done this week as we move forward here. I was looking forward to seeing some guys with the opportunity tonight step up, and I didn't sense that as much as I'd hoped.
No one has ever questioned the intensity of our guest this week. He has a gold jacket to prove it. One of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the game. One of the greatest Bills to ever suit up in the red, white, and blue. The great Andre Reed joins the Hard Knocks podcast. Andre, it is great to see you. Thanks for doing this, man.
Always good to see you, Andrew. No doubt.
It is great to see you as well. Thanks for making the time. I know you're watching Hard Knocks as a legend here, as someone who spent like 15 years of your life there. What do you think so far of the Bills getting the spotlight and Hard Knocks pulling back the curtain?
Number one, Andrew, is very deserving. I think that's the main thing. Sean has that team so just dialed in on things. There's Hard Knocks every year. They do it with a team. Back in the day, they'd find a team that has some characters and all kinds of stuff. And the Bills got some characters. I mean, Deion Dawkins is probably just great for that. He is perfect for that. But you can just see how focused they are, not only on the football field, but how Sean goes about doing it every single day there with that team. That, this is a team that's always been there. Let's face it. They've been there the last 5-6 years. How did they get over their hump? How do they go about doing that to do that? I think they made a big step this year in defense of getting some defensive linemen. You got to have some guys up front that can push the pocket mostly every play and get those guys quarterbacks running around. So that was their main focus this year going into the draft is get some defensive linemen and kind of push the pile a little bit more every single play instead of every other play or whatever you want to do.
There's this scene in the beginning of this week's episode in which Sean McDermott tells the team, like last year is last year, and you always hear that. You got to turn the page.
Obviously,
so
yeah.
like I need to see more intensity. I need to see more
Yeah,
focus.
yeah.
Go back to your days and then try to connect them, if you could, Andre, with this team. How do you get so close, right? I realize you guys got closer than this team has. You get so close, and then you find a way to reset. This team makes it deep into the playoffs. Last year, the AFC Championship game, but they have to reset, and that's what McDermott is looking for. It's what Marv Levy always was able to get out of you. How do you start anew and regain that intensity?
That's a good question, Andrew. I think, every year the attitude is different, but it is the same. These guys have been close so far just to even get to that game. I think if you're like a little fly on the wall, just listening to what's going on in the building, that has a big impact on how guys play every single Sunday, how they prepare. And again, Josh is the main focus of everything. I think he's done a fabulous job of getting that team ready every single game, every single practice, everything. But inevitably, they all got to work together. They all have to work together to get to that main goal. This team's goal is just to get there right now. How do they do it? They got to keep resetting. Obviously, injuries play a big factor in a team getting to a game like that, to the Super Bowl. But this team has been on a cusp, and hopefully this is the year that they break that.
I'd imagine it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it?
Well, we played in more games, I think, in NFL history than anybody in a 3-4 year span during those years. And by the time we got to the fourth Super Bowl, we were exhausted, like you said. We were, I think, mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, but that's just the grind of the game, too.
Andre Reed, if we had done Hard Knocks with your version, your version of the Buffalo Bills, what would we have learned?
That is a great question, Andrew. They would have turned that into a movie. Because we had a bunch of guys, and the cast of characters we had. Great leaders, number one. Great football players, number two. And then we had a coach that really not only believed in us, but Marv was like our dad. He was like our parent. And he let us get to a point a lot of times, but if we got a little bit overboard, he had a way of bringing us back. So, happy belated birthday to Marv again. We were in Canton, 100 years old.
So cool.
What an amazing man he is, not only as a coach, but for football in general. And you saw that in Canton this year when they said happy birthday to him and all the tributes to Marv. I love Marv like I love my dad. So he was very special, still is very special.
The guy's a treasure, truly. He's a national treasure. Who would have been the viral star from your team?
Believe it or not, the cast of characters that you're usually used to, it might not have been one of them. Daryl Talley probably would have been really.
Yeah.
Daryl would have been good because he never was really soft-spoken, but he never was flamboyant and all over the place either, but only when he had to be. So he would have been an unsung hero of the Hard Knocks for the Bills back in the 90s.
Daryl Talley, the linebacker, number 56. You guys had so much drama too, and you see in the Four Falls of Buffalo documentary a little bit, but I mean, people forget like the stuff with Jim Kelly and like the public spat with the media and throwing the offensive line under the bus. People have forgotten some of those stories. Like if you
you know what? Believe it or not, they never forgot that, because I get that a lot from people telling me.
In Buffalo,
sometimes.
They haven't forgotten.
I've gotten a lot of it outside of Buffalo too. Every now and again, hey, you guys, what was up with the bickering Bills? What did that mean?
Mm-hmm.
I say, hey, we bickered like everybody else. It just so happened that we were pretty good at bickering.
The cool part about your generation and your team and this team is that there's all this connective tissue, including a Hallmark special. You're in the Hallmark movie coming out this winter. Is it a speaking role? I got a little bit of a speaking role, and I've done some a couple things over the last 10 years in TV. You probably see me like at 2:00 in the morning on some couple things, but what a great job the people at Hallmark had done for this movie coming out there. And around Christmas, me, Thurman, and Scott Norwood, got a little part in it. Kim Pagula's in it, so it was very, very cool to do that. With the backdrop of all these Buffalo people. Everybody should check it out. It's a love story about two fans that find each other at a Bills game.
and it's pretty good.
One guy that I don't think really has changed since they drafted him 7th overall in 2018 is Josh Allen.
No.
And Andre, that's despite the fact that he's now on half the national TV commercials that play during any other game, despite the fact that he has a Hollywood wife. He just got married. I mean, he is everywhere. I mean, we could easily compare him to Jim Kelly. They're different guys. Just this guy, however, Josh Allen, what is something that you have learned about him the last couple of years, or maybe learned from Hard Knocks that surprised you that maybe the fans don't know?
I think he doesn't get phased at a lot of things. Like, he doesn't like go overboard. He's like steady right in the middle. And again, you mentioned all the stuff with what's going on with him off the field. That's a lot of stuff to deal with mentally. And he's just Josh, you know. I mean, is there such a thing as just being Josh or just being you? Yeah. And he's got the right people around him. You know, obviously Sean knows how to deal with him, and his teammates know how to deal with him. He's a winner. I don't care what people say, how he goes about doing it, what happened here, what happened over there. Josh Allen's a winner. And Buffalo's glad to have a guy like that on their football team, especially at the quarterback position, which is the main focus in the NFL. You don't have that guy, you're not going nowhere anyway.
There is a scene at the end of episode 2 in which a fan, this woman, kind of gets emotional, right?
Yeah.
She says, I don't know when we win, if we win. She starts tearing up. Andre, like, what will it mean when they finally win for the city and for your group as well?
That's a good one there, Andrew. When I go back to games, I see fans that I've known for. I see the same lady on the tunnel when I come through there. She's probably a 35, 40 years, maybe 50-year season ticket holder, whatever you want to call it. And she is there at the same seat. It's just amazing. And that's how Buffalonians are. They are not only just passionate about the game of football, they are passionate about the red, white, and blue team that comes through that tunnel every single Sunday. What it would mean to me, Thurman, Bruce, Jim, Cornelius, Steve Tasker, I can keep going on and on and on. Marv, all the coaches, all those years. It'll just be a culmination of something that was supposed to happen. It might took longer than it should have, but the city, the whole East Coast, they'd have to shut it down. That's what I'm thinking.
Would it ease your pain?
There'd be a little, off the back, a little thing off the back for sure. And I'm just, I'm wanting it for the city. I want it for that football team. Regardless of what we did, and obviously we'll be thrown in there, but it would be their thing. It wouldn't be our thing. It'd be their thing.
Can you put into words for fans who have never been to Buffalo, who've never been to Western New York, who have never been to Highmark Stadium, who have never had to shovel snow out of their seats? Can you put into words how special Buffalo and Bills Mafia truly is?
I probably can't. I mean, there's so many different words. And Andrew, I see fans from all over, and a lot of them say, you know what? I need to come to Buffalo for a game. And they're fans of other teams. They're diehards with other teams. And I said, I heard about Buffalo. I got to come to Buffalo for a game and see what that's like. And I said, yeah, you do. And fans are going to be fans, but your perspective of what fans mean to a team, a city, a town, you would be like, well, I wish our team was like that. I wish our fans were like that, instead of just showing up every Sunday, because they are embedded in the city. I always recommend to come to a Buffalo game and see how real fans do it.
They prepare all week to jump through that table.
Yes, they do.
Safely. Of course, safely. Please don't try this at home.
Don't try it at home. Yeah.
Andre, thanks for your time, man. Hope to talk to you soon.
You got it, Andrew. Anytime, man.
Time now for our MVPs of the week. Our MVPs of episode 3. Backup quarterbacks Shane Buechele and Mike White. Not because they agree that the rookies are bleeping stupid. No, it's because of this.
Your wife knows everything too? Dude, my wife knows everything.
She knows everything.
Geniuses, huh?
She knows everything.
How do they do that?
I don't know, dude.
Just a touching moment here. Just touching. Two guys having an epiphany. Really, this cathartic moment when they realize their wives always know best. Their wives are smarter than they are. They know everything. Who knew? That's it for another episode. Thanks for watching of the official Hard Knocks podcast. Want to thank my friend Andre Reed, the Hall of Famer, for his memories of those great Bills teams from the 90s and his thoughts on this year's team. Maybe, just maybe, this is the year. Are you a member of Bills Mafia? If so, why don't you hit me up on social media, X or Instagram? I'm at Andrew Siciliano. Send us your images, your memories, your greatest pictures of your Bills Mafia fandom, and maybe we'll put them on the show next week. You can also leave a comment on YouTube or wherever it is you get your podcast. We're going to be here next week, episode 4 of the Hard Knocks podcast, which will be Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on HBO Max. The Hard Knocks podcast is a production of HBO and NFL Films in partnership with Pod People. The show is produced by Buffy Gorilla, Tony Mantilla, and Brian Rivers. The episode was edited for video by Kai Lee. Carter Wogan and Morgan Foose are our sound designers. Special thanks to Michael Gluckstadt and Kenya Reyes from the HBO podcast team, and to Ken Rogers, Katie Morello, and Pat Harris at NFL Films. I'm your host, Andrew Siciliano. See you next week. Thanks for watching and listening.